Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, what another big day in the market for technology, and we're seeing this theme continue to play out. We'll get into the charts. NVDA finally woke up and started moving it. We're at a critical point in NVIDIA. So we'll look at the chart and tell you what to look for coming in tomorrow. You guys asked me about some other stocks. I'm gonna get into those as well. One looks like a definite breakout candidate for sure. We got Bitcoin maybe hitting 100K tonight. We'll have to see, or is it going to tease us once again? But it's all about risk, risk, risk. But we'll start off with this right here. One of you guys asked me a question about this. I'm going to go ahead and answer it. I've been meaning to do it all week for you. But when you look, I told the members in the morning news brief, we had data come out. We had the U.S. private payrolls, which, of course, increased to a moderate pace in November of 146,000. Last month, they were advancing by a downwardly revised 840K in October. Economists Poll and Reuters had forecast private employment increasing by 150K. Fell short of that after previously reporting 233K. As I said, these numbers are almost garbage because they revise them down so much every month. But they put them out to us, so I have to report them to you. And people are still getting hired. So, next one here, ISM Services PMI says how the services sector is going. Remember, almost 70% of our economy is services, right? And you can see right here, ISM Services PMI in the U.S. declined to 52.1 in November from 56 in October and well below forecast of 55. Important here, the reading pointing to the slowest growth in the services sector in 3 months, driven by ease in business activity and new orders. So, before I get into the charts, that leads me to this question one of you guys had asked. You said, wait a minute, when President Trump comes in, you got Elon Musk and Vivek, and all of a sudden they're going to say they're going to, lay off all these government employees, and we know who's been the biggest hire so far, right? It is government. They've been just loading the boat with people. I have no idea what these people do. If you happen to be one of them, let me know what your job is. I want to know. Because we know what everybody else is doing. They're announcing layoffs, right? Hiring freezes. They're not hiring people. And so, again, are they going to go in and do that? Absolutely not. Let me tell you how this is going to go. It's just a prediction, but it makes sense. First of all, you're in a late stage business cycle. Second of all, if you're taking over something that is the number one hiring thing and the number one spender and keeping this whole charade going, the last thing you're going to do is cut spending dramatically and all of a sudden start laying off millions of people. Okay, because they're going to pull him in a back room and they're going to say, sir, you can do this, but check this out. And they're going to show him some charts and they're going to say, oh my goodness. Remember, he knows the government's been propping this up. President Trump ran the whole time saying, this is a charade. These numbers are charades. The government's spending out of control. They're propping this whole thing up. So if he comes in and pulls the rug, I'll be surprised if he does that because his number one thing he talks about is the stock market, right? And guess what? And the stock market looks and goes, wait a minute, you fixing to cut how much out of that budget? Where's the rest of that money going to come from? You're fixing to lay off how many millions of people? Who's going to hire them? Okay? So, again, could do it, but boy, I buckle up if he does. In a way, I kind of hope he does because I want to see what happens. But, that's what they said they were going to do. But we'll see. And there's another thing about Elon Musk and Donald Trump, right? Just as a side note, take politics out of it. You're talking about two very big egos in the same room. Elon was his advisor, an advisor to him back in his first term, right? And he walked away, so they wasn't listening to him. So if Elon, the richest man on the planet, gets in there and they say, yeah, you can't be cutting people's jobs and we're not going to be able to cut a lot of fat off this pig right here, I don't know if he stays around. And if he don't stay around, what happens then? That's a whole nother story. So a good debate at least. It opens up the floor for today. Let me know. Do you think you're going to roll in there and just start slashing people right and left and millions of people are going to be put out of work and all of a sudden they're going to cut the budget like crazy and all this other stuff? Let me know. And if so, what's going to happen to the economy and the stock market? Okay? I'm just curious to know what you think. Now, QQQ, obviously, huge explosive move out of the weekly expected move. This is what the option market thinks. The IWM, Spire, still in their weekly expected move. Most are, okay? And so, again, we've seen this before right there. See those three big candles to the left? We've seen this before. So this happens. And then it came back down and got back into reality. But right now, he pulled these fibs up many different times saying, where can it go? Well, it's at that 1.272, 521, and go to 526. If this thing keeps going, does it need a breather? You would think so. But obviously, what you see happening here is to zoom in, you kind of see where this can go. If it happens, you got that huge gap below. We're out of the weekly expected move. We're still within the monthly expected move. And that is just, oof, boy, that's a big move. So anybody in TQQQ, congratulations, are options. But, what's happening is simple. Again, you got the Mag 7, semis. We prepared for this. We had talked about this weeks in advance. And that's what's happening, okay? When all this high beta stuff, like the ARC stocks and everything go up 200%, start to cool off, profit taking happens, where's the money going? Right now it's going there, okay? They're kind of basically what they're doing is handing the baton off. Don't mean both can't run, and saying, hey, let me get to the finish line, because the big boys don't have to move it that much because it's so heavily weighted in the indexes to move it. But the good thing about the Qs is, look at QQEW. QQEW is moving too, right? It was up over 1% today as well. So you have many tech stocks. Just look at how many, you can pull them up in the QQEW and actually look. This is the equal weighted ETF. They're moving up as well, making big moves. Again, IWM kind of stalling right now because some of those are coming down. We'll see if they start to turn back up. Wouldn't be surprised, right? But QQQ is getting its turn. Okay, now if it does come down, let's see if the 1.272 fib holds. If that does not happen, then you got this gap right here, which, it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Maybe you finally get profit taken. Maybe people finally come down here, set a higher low, and then start to move back up, right, for the end of the year. That's something just to pay attention. I would say, look at this right here. If this trend line right here breaks, we're going to fill the gap. I think it's pretty much that simple. So I'll be looking at that for the next 2 days to see if that's what happens. But right now, the market is bullish. There's nothing negative about it. Again, this is economic news. Remember, the economy is not the market. The market is not the economy. The market is in this, I want to say euphoric state, but it's definitely a super bullish state where everything is flying high, right? And so that's just where it is going into a, obviously, big month where we know usually it's green, but expect some kind of rockiness here at some point in time, you would think. That's just reality. Now, looking at what we're talking about here, SMH. Again, it bounced off of 200. This one's going to move better than SOX. I'll show you why. Because this one's above all the moving averages, and it's NVDA that is this number one. It's like 20%, I think, is NVIDIA. Taiwan Semiconductor makes up 10. I think just the two stocks make up like 30% of it, right? And so if it continues to move up, I'm looking at that gap right there to be the target to start moving into. So 264, 270, if semis continue to make this push going into year end. I don't expect it to be straight up. I expect it to be some rockiness for sure, no doubt about that. But when you look at SOX, SOX is more equally weighted. And so as you can see by the move, and it's got a lot more resistance. It's below all the moving averages, right? It hit the 100 today. That's where it got stopped, but you got the 50, you got the 200. Also, you can easily look at that chart and go, wait a minute, that was like trend line resistance as well. As I pull it across, you go, oh, yeah, absolutely. So we got all the moving averages and a trend line resistance and a daily fair value get to the left as well. And it doesn't have a stock like NVIDIA that's going to just shove it through the roof, because there's a lot of them that account for like 10%, not just 20, 30%, right? So keep an eye on that one. IWM, possible flag here. Again, if it pushes through those two, it's going to explode back up to 244. Just watch for these high beta stocks. Some of you guys are in them. I'll show you them coming down, start to base out. If those start to squeeze again, everything starts to push up. Remember, most of their stocks are just 2,000 of them or more, actually, are equally weighted pretty much for the most part. If those start to get the momentum back up, away we go. Right now, the Q's got the baton. Okay, IWM did have it. Actually, the SPY had it, then it passed the IWM, then it passed to the Q's. NVIDIA, very simple. We talked about 145. If it opens above it tomorrow, we're heading to 149.50. If you see it start to pull over and start forming that right shoulder, that's all you're looking for, to see if that happens. Now, of course, it could fake us out, right? It come down right here, 144.63, where it's at in aftermarkets, and then bounce back up, and away we go. Is the options market just pushing this one today? And of course, if the options market's pushing this one, it's not pushing Tesla, which we'll get into in just a second. Now, you saw Microsoft. We talked about this. Could move out. Boom, explode today. Went to that 1.272, which was the first target we talked about. If we can break through that, we're heading back up here to 1.5, 1.168 to 447, 450, somewhere in that range, okay? If we come back down, just watch right there for that trend line, horizontal support, and descending trend line support to bounce. Now, Tesla, which of course had something very big, it had a big bear, another bear, capitulate yesterday. I'll show that one to you. As you can see, if NVIDIA is moving, Tesla's not. It basically sat there to about 1:30 a day and finally started getting some life in it, okay? These two do not move together. So, of course, what happened? Comes down. We already talked about in this gap right here. It's where it was, where it started on Wednesday and moved up. Really just kind of ranging right now. No big deal. The real question is, if NVIDIA does catch a bid, will Tesla be able to move, or just stuck in this range? Which there's nothing wrong with being stuck in the range, by the way. It just seems like the options market is moving both these stocks, and it can't move at the same time. There's just not enough money to go around, I guess. So again, I always say, if those two ever get to moving together, whether there's a 2 or 3 day bid where they're actually both up between 1 to 2%, that would be amazing. But here's the guy who capitulated yesterday, and he's been a big bear for years.
To people that are listening now, it's very difficult, certainly to short a name that is not trading on fundamentals. It's also hard to go long a name when it's all on promises.
And that's what I always say, man. You are crazy as can be if you're short in Tesla. I said it, especially once the election is over. You got to be crazy. You know, this right here, and again, it is all promises. That's what it is. I said there's nothing fundamentally changed. There's no more revenue rolling in, right? And once the election happened, it just has to do with he's got a big voice in the room. He's going to be able to push through a lot of stuff to crush his competitors. If you don't believe that, you're out to lunch somewhere, right? He's not going to do that. He's already doing it. You think he didn't approve to get rid of the EV credit? Of course he did, because he knew it's going to hurt his competitors way more. And they're already hanging on by, you know, a thumbnail, for God's sakes. You see GM and all them, they're already laying people off. As soon as they got it announced, they're like, whatever. You know, and so of course he's going to be able to do that. And so we'll see how it works out. But to see him finally capitulate, and I showed you the guy yesterday. These are guys that have been bears for years. Okay, it's interesting to watch. So again, here we go. So now some places to be looking, or place other people are looking. I'll tell you right now, a lot of people looking at Chinese stocks because they're seeing all this other stuff go crazy. They're way up, and they're seeing these in a huge discount area. If we look at the charts real quick, I've already told you why people are looking at this stuff. And that's the theme, right? Finding stuff that is already down into a discount area, whether it be golden pocket, 0.79, all that good stuff, coming down the trend line support and all this good stuff. And it's these right here. They gave back all the stimmy gaps and all the stimulus and all that stuff. And so what do they need? Really, that's what they need, because it ain't earnings that brings them up. It ain't anything else. It really just, all you need is China to come out tonight at midnight or maybe the next couple of days and go, we think we're going to do stimulus again, and announce some crazy stuff, and then these might start moving, right? You might see money start to flow into them and stuff. But we'll have to see. Again, I don't own them. I'm never going to own them. I don't see the point in owning them. It makes no sense. There's so many great companies right here in America that I don't have to worry about the government trying to crush or do some crazy stuff with. And I know our government officials are bought off by these companies of which I'm investing in. So therefore, I'll stick with that. But I will trade these and say, hey, you know what? A lot of them are in good spots to where, yes, you could see a nice little bounce right here. No doubt about it. Because again, you got, what was it, PDD or something, warning on like profit margins and everything else, and I think all of them dropped on earnings. So you know, JD's actually holding up better than the rest of them, which really surprises me. But a lot of them have just been destroyed over the last like few weeks. So again, something to look at. I'm just bringing the attention because I know a lot of people are looking at those now. TLT is another one. As this 10-year has fallen, you might have noticed TLT's been moving up. What happens though? You get to this trend line, which was support. Now resistance, right? So you have a support resistance flip right there. So it ain't going nowhere until it breaks off that right there, or breaks above it, excuse me. And when you really look at this, I mean, it's actually been a pretty decent move right there. But when I look at it, what I see plain and Jane is like a cup and handle, a very ugly one. Like there's your cup, there's the handle. And so again, you got to get above that trend line. But if, and that's a big if, right? The 10-year starts to sit there and continue to roll over like this, it could happen. You know, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And a lot of this depends on like what the Fed does this month and what the bond market's trying to tell us and all this good stuff. Because even Jerome's like, oh, the market's strong. He did speak today, by the way. And he said, oh, the market's strong. So maybe they hold off. We'll have to see. Now, somebody asked me about ELF, so I'm going to cover this one right here. Somebody in Discord also asked me, and I told them about it. So this one's interesting. It actually is up against that trend line right there, right? It's been support, it's been resistance multiple times, horizontal. You see what resistance is, was resistance, then support, now resistance again. And when you look at that, it's already in a huge discount because the stock got absolutely nuked, right? From, I think it was last July all the way down. And so when you look at this one, if it breaks above that trend line, which I think at the end of the day it was pushing right up against it, then you could see a nice explosive move in ELF right here. And so look for it to go to that golden pocket first, which is around between like 148, 150, 0.79 is around 160. We're also in a seasonal time where, hey, people are probably buying makeup stuff. What do you see? Seeing higher lows, right? But you're not getting those higher highs. And this usually means this is a big push up, okay? And when it's moving averages, you can see right there the 100 right there as well. So it's above the 50. It's pushing above the 100. The 200 right there is right above the 0.79, so around 160. And usually when I look back, if I'm not mistaken, check me on this, from 2019 and 2022, between December 19th and January 1, this thing went up like 6 to 8% alone. 2023 ruined that trend. It actually dropped. And so we'll see if this year is going to get back on the horse here and start to move, because this one obviously is starting to get some love right there. And so, you know, just want to at least put it out there to you to look at that. because somebody asked me about it. And so, look at this. We'll bring up the RSI, MACD. This is another one of those kind of momentum type of things. And you can see, I mean, on the weekly, the large time frames, right? You got your bullish MACD cross. The RSI is about to cross 50. Hadn't quite done it yet. But if that gets across 50 this week, right, that means on a higher time frame, bulls are trying to take it back, right? I don't think the MACD is going to cross the zero for a while. But at least on a higher time frame, that is a bullish thing. So watch out here for ELF, especially being, seasonal. Seasonality is good for it, and they have no earnings to derail it. Now, we'll see if Bitcoin hits 100K or it teases again today, tomorrow, whatever it is. Good to see Ethereum finally pushing. That's been such a laggard disappointment this cycle. Now, when it comes to earnings, again, you'll have Dollar General, TD Bank, nothing else very big. Then you get Lulu, UiPath, Ulta, DocuSign. So some very high flyers. You're going to see some big moves out of these. Look for Petco. They usually do pretty good. And then when it comes to data, all you got to worry about is unemployment claims. And that's maybe natural gas storage if you want to. And that's about it. So anyway, hope you guys got some out of it. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you did. Think about signing up for the membership. There's everything you get for it, less than a McDonald's combo. And I will see you guys tomorrow for another fun one.